Get your pencils and papers ready because we're doing what you ask. We're going to list all of the phone numbers again from our guests so that you can have more time to write them down. And then I'll be back with startling news about death panels that are already here. Francisco Felix desperately needs a liver transplant to survive. Finally, a liver became available, and Felix received the call he had been praying for from the hospital. Hours later, though, he received news he never expected. The hospital canceled the procedure. Why? Because Francisco lives in Arizona, and the legislature, in its wisdom there, cut its budget by cutting out organ replacements under Medicaid. Could this happen here in Ohio? Here with the answer is my irreplaceable law partner, Lori Steiner. Thanks for joining us, Lori. Tell us what happened in Arizona.
Well, in Arizona, like most states, they're facing huge budget crisis. So last year, the legislators and the governor decided to cut out so-called optional services under the Medicaid program. So one of the optional services was the organ transplant.
How are organ transplants optional?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Clearly, if you need it, it's not optional. But under Medicaid, there's two categories of services. And if you want to provide Medicaid and get the federal funding, you have to provide the mandatory coverage, but you don't have to provide and pay for the optional services, like organ transplants and dental and vision and those kinds of things.
So if a state cuts out optional services, do they lose any federal money?
Yeah, they do. Medicaid is a joint federal and state program. So for every dollar that the state spends under Medicaid, they get more than $2 from the federal government. So when the state does cut out those kind of optional services, they save some funding in the state, but they lose out on federal funding.
What are some of the optional services?
Well, it can be speech and hearing therapy, bone marrow transplants, organ transplants, vision coverage, dental, mental health coverage.
Doesn't sound too optional to me.
No, not for most people.
Where's Ohio in this? We've been talking about Arizona.
Well, most states are facing terrible budget problems, just like Ohio has, but they haven't cut the Medicaid optional programs.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. We got to warn people that, you know, there's a budget that has to be balanced by the end of June here, and the legislators and governors here in Ohio may choose to look at cutting those optional programs.
Well, we'll get you back to keep us updated. Thanks, Lori.
That would be great.
During the healthcare law debates, scare stories circulated that death panels would be created. Those claims were false at that time, but the Arizona legislature and governor have actually created a real-life death panel by cutting critical life-saving services like transplants solely for budget reasons. Hopefully, our elected officials will do better here in Ohio. We'll be right back.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information. Or log on to www.budishandsolomon.com.
Please join us again next week, and until then, make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.